Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland, for another informative article and podcast. Again, before we get started, please make a donation. $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. I bring everybody that reads, watches, and listens to China Rising Radio Sinoland very unique views, information. I do hours and hours and hours of research to find all of this for the friends, fans, and followers out there. Go to the PayPal information above and below, or the Fundrazr button above and below. Or if you're a tech fan, if you like technology, become a Patreon patron for my China Tech News Flash. Only $1 a month, and you get cutting-edge videos about all the amazing things China's doing in the area of technology and innovation. Here we go. This one is entitled Russian Biologist and Former UN Export Igor Nikulin, Coronavirus is a Biological Weapon Used by Global Government to Reduce the World's Population by 90%. The byline under the picture is, News from outside the Great Western Firewall almost never gets seen or heard in the MSM thanks to the big lie propaganda machine, the BLPM. Bioweapon and chemical warfare expert Dr. Igor Nikulin fits that category and has some very revealing points to make that you need to know about. Here we go. This is a short but fascinating interview segment that you would never see in the MSM behind the Great Western Firewall. Dr. Igor Nikulin was a member of the UN Commission on Biological and Chemical Weapons, which means he knows what he's talking about. You can watch the 4-minute clip here. It's a little disconcerting since the show is in Arabic and Dr. Nikulin's responses in Russian are being translated into the former language. For English speakers, focus on the written translation at the bottom of the screen. Here it is, and then there is also a direct YouTube link here. And if you can't access YouTube, I uploaded it for you here. If all else fails, MEMRI, the Middle East Media Research Institute, was nice enough to provide the English interview transcription below, which I will read out. I wanted to offer this to China Rising Radio Sinoland friends, fans, and followers since it supports what I wrote in my previous article podcast. COVID-19 is a U.S. biological weapon to attack and destroy global capitalism's anti-imperial enemies. If it further develops into a global pandemic, Western oligarchs win as well, since for over 200 years they have wanted to eugenically cull humanity's 99%. Hats off to Memory for making this important interview segment available in English. Here's the interview introduction. Russian biologist Igor Nikulin, who was presented as a former member of the UN Commission on Biological and Chemical Weapons, said in a February 27, 2020 interview on Russia Today's Arabic language channel that he believes it is no coincidence that the coronavirus has had the effect it has in China, Iran, and certain European countries. He said the coronavirus was carefully selected to affect countries that rival the United States, and that it is a conspiracy by the, quote, global government, end of quote, which he says consists of 200 families that control over $40 trillion, that own the media outlets in Hollywood, that control the minds of humanity, and that want to decrease the world population by 90%. He suggested that it may be possible that coronavirus is a targeted biological weapon, like he said Ebola and bird flu were, that infects some people and not others. And he said that the U.S. government may be testing a pathogenic agent it began developing in 1999. Nikulin also said that this is a warning to the non-English speaking world that it must submit to the laws that are imposed upon it. Here's the actual interview transcription. And it starts out with Igor Nikulin. I believe that it is no coincidence that China was infected with coronavirus. I believe that this virus was selected very carefully in order to reach countries that are considered to be America's rivals, such as China, Iran, and some EU countries, including Italy. Many people think that there are pro-Russian tendencies in those countries, and this is why we see more infected people in those countries. I don't think that this is a mere coincidence. This is a scheme by the world's elites. In the interviewer asked, the global government? Dr. Nikulin replied, right, the global government is the correct term. At least that is what they call themselves. No one elected them, but this is how they see themselves. These 200 families have $40 trillion, and they consider themselves to be the most important people on earth. They own most of the media outlets. They are the ones making the Hollywood movies. For example, they make movies about pandemics. These families control the minds of humanity and claim that humanity must be reduced to 1/10 of the current population. The interviewer asks, is it really possible to produce biological weapons that target a specific nation or ethnic group and that may infect them but not others? There were reports that the Israelis were thinking about producing or have actually produced some sort of biological weapon that kills Palestinians but does not harm other Israelis. Is it true? Is it possible? Dr. Nikulin replied, people talk about this. I know that a few years ago there was a strange epidemic in Madagascar. It was not in Africa. It was a pneumonic, or as in pneumonia, a pneumonic plague, which is a horrible thing. This epidemic killed only the locals, while it did not harm European tourists and not even the yellow race. There is also, of course, weapons such as Ebola, avian influenza, and the coronavirus that is currently infecting mostly Chinese and other Asian peoples. Such weapons exist. In 1999, the Americans started a project. The head of the CIA at the time, George Tenet, and President Clinton said that they would produce pathogenic agents that would affect certain races but not others. 20 years have passed, and the time for field experiments has come. It seems that planet Earth has been turned into a testing ground. I'll go even further and say that the Anglo-Saxon countries have issued a biological warning to all non-English speaking countries. Either you live according to the laws we impose on you, or you will not live on this planet. Either we kill you fast, or we kill you slowly. This is the main problem of modern world policy. This is Jeff J. Brown. That's the end of the interview that Dr. Nikulin participated in. Really interesting. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland, signing out. Bye-bye.